Good evening to everyone. My name is Jagbir Singh. I'm CTO for Vodafone Idea. So I've been given this task to do the keynote. So I'll just take you through. I have only 3 or 4 slides. And idea is like I'm sure every one of you know, but I will try to recap what the 5G means. And then last slide will be actually the theme or the messages actually where we need to work to make 5G successful. So for me, I call 5G as a platform. I don't call 5G as the only technology. It's a technology plus platforms. It's a platform where, everyone has to come and do the partnership and contribute. We have seen 2G, 3G, 4G, everything was vendor comes, supply the equipment, and vendor put the equipment and start offering the service, and mostly the service was voice and data. And that was actually enough to I would say, monetize or enough to use the network. But in case of 5G, everyone knows it's a platform where we need to create the use case. Just giving high-speed data is not going to monetize 5G, and actually it's not, I would say, the right thing to, exploit the benefit of the 5G. So to exploit the benefit of 5G, I think we need to ensure that we have the whole ecosystem coming together, partners coming together. I think I can name few small companies here who are there. And one of the good, booth, I would say, my definition, so I don't want to underestimate anybody else, but you would have seen the trend, like on Nokia booth, if you go, you don't find the typical boxes of vendor supply. You find actually these small companies coming together and they are trying to present what they can do, how they can use 5G. I think this is the passion and this is the driver we need in the industry to ensure that we come out with the use case which are around the consumer as well as the enterprise, which makes this platform to be really the platform to deliver the services to the convenience of the users, which could be the consumer or could be the enterprise. So I think just to recap on this slide says these are the 3 big inherent features of 5G as a technology, which need to be converted to use for any platform. So of course, it's a high speed because you have the more spectrum, the technology is better, it's more spectral efficiency, etc., etc. But so it gives you the high speed with the low latency. At the same time, this is something like suppose you run the factory in this hall and the factory has many devices and sensors, many machines to produce the any final product. Then you will have the hundreds or thousands of devices and the sensor actually before the finished product is coming out from the assembly line. Then you need to have actually that kind of sensors getting connected in real-time basis. So actually what you need is machine-to-machine kind of communication where each machine is talking to each other and then you have the controller who can actually manage all the machines. But it's basically like having the high density machine-to-machine of every sensor having the equivalent to SIM card where you can manage, which is not that kind of flexibility available in 4G. Third is low latency everyone talks about. So it's basically the latency which less than 1 millisecond, which enables many use cases which were not possible in 4G. And that is the reason the 5G is actually becoming more and more popular. So anything where you need high speeds, low latency, and the high density of the connections at the, and direct connection to the machine. That is the place the 5G is actually going to be used as a platform. Now, around this, everybody has to work together, right from the, I'm sure the OTT players, startups, IT companies, telecom operators, telecom suppliers. All that is actually is the ecosystem which, coming out together to ensure that they are the use cases available to monetize 5G. This is the slide. So again, rather than going, too much in detail, but let me just make it simple. So the one side we have enhanced broadband, then we have the machine-to-machine, and then we have the low latency. But how they impact for human to human, human to machine, and machine to machine. So when we actually see the use cases, we have to categorize these use cases. So these are the use cases which are mentioned over here. So you will find right from the AR, VR, and going to the machine on the enhanced broadband, surveillance, etc., wherever you need the high speed with the low latency. And then you can have the health sector, you can have education sector, where you need to have the combination of, like latency as well as the broadband, as well as, maybe you need to have little bit more density of the connections. Same thing, we are, like you want to do, for example, the surgery kind of health applications. So the remote doctor is advising somebody during the surgery, then you can't afford to have any latency, for example. You do the autonomous car actually, they are like every camera in the car is talking to each other, then you can't afford to have any latency. So I think same thing, you can have the video surveillance where you need to be very critical about the latency. So I think these are the categories. So when we use the 5G features, these three basic features, and we cut across the human to human, machine to machine, and human to machine. So including like smart homes, smart office, smart cities, video surveillance, and maybe the wearable devices, everywhere the 5G is coming out to be very handy, more efficient as a platform for the technology compared to the 4G. Let me just, another benefit for the end consumer and the enterprise. I think everyone has a concern in the past few years around the security. The 5G as a technology, again, is highly secured. It's designed to be secured. So you don't have to bring any separate security softwares or the hardware. Actually, this is having the inherent design. There's a big, like I would say the encryption available from device to the infrastructure. So in between, it's resilient to the cyber attack. From the radio interface, from the device to the infrastructure, nobody can tap it because the encryption is very high in this, and that too is dynamic. On top of that, actually it provides the, support of all the security guidelines, whatever they are going to be there. And the DOT is right now working around the security for the 5G. So that is the another, benefit. So I think for the enterprise especially, where the security, cyber attacks, and ensuring that encryption is available, all that is inherently available in the 5G technology. So that is the another benefit of using 5G as a platform, especially wherever we need to have the highly secured environment. With this, I have the last slide, and that slide is actually also for the, panel as well. So we are going to have the panel, and I can't read there, so I'll just open my paper. So on the panel, I think we are going to have the discussion around these topics, and these are the topics to make the 5G more, I would say the more, user-friendly platform which can be used by every common man and every enterprise. So these are the 6-7 bullet points. So let me just describe in my way of, what I think. First thing is, around the 5G, we can use the spectrum very dynamically. We can use among the 2 operators, 3 operators, the same spectrum, or the spectrum can be shared. And we can actually use the spectrum using the network slice for the enterprise. All of you know that there's a big discussion, and I'm sure it's, it's going to come. Government has already said that the separate spectrum will be allocated for the enterprise customers. So yes, it's providing the flexibility to the enterprise. Whoever want to opt for the spectrum, they can buy from the government. But I think the 5G is allowing the operators to deploy and use the spectrum, dedicated spectrum. So suppose you have 100 megahertz, 10 megahertz to company A, 10 to B, 10 to C, 10 to another company. So you can actually, and that spectrum for that service, for that customer is dedicated. Nobody can share it. So I think this flexibility is available, which wasn't in 2G, 3G, 4G or anything. So this is another, I would say the area where we have to exploit this feature to offer the services at the affordable price with the right use cases for the enterprises, for doing the factory automation, for doing the automation for the enterprise, for doing the, like connected sort of the factories in the enterprise by dedicating this spectrum, which is not going to be interfered by anything else. The way today your Wi-Fi get interfered, and the way you have the other spectrum where you have to dedicate everything for that factory, and around that factory, that spectrum cannot be used after that. So that is the benefit you have. So let's exploit this feature, and I think if anybody has a view in the panel, we'll have some discussion. Advanced analytics, which are actually available on this platform. That means you can apply the AI ML. So it's around the customer insight, around the operational insight or the performance insight, around the actually the data which is going to be used to predict something, either to improve the performance or come out some use case, some customization for a given sector, given customer, given consumer. So this AI ML actually kind of capability which are being, talked, they are going to be reality on the 5G platform because there's so much data coming in, and this data need to be used to actually monetize and to give the relevant use cases for the consumers or for the enterprises. Green energy, I think this is another, you must be seeing a lot of equipment outside with the vendors. Now you can just see on the tower how much equipment is going to be. So it's like a energy requirement is day by day increasing per tower. So you keep adding like 3 radios, then you keep adding some, baseband unit, and then, each radio is going to take almost a kilowatt power per sector. So you need 3, 4, 5 kilowatt power per tower, per operator. It is too much power from the battery point of view, from the, from the electricity connection point of view. Everyone is upgrading now the electricity connection, which were there on the tower, 15 kVA or 15 kV or kilowatt, or 20 kilowatt. Now it's going to be maybe 30, 40, 50 kilowatt for the tower cores. You have to change the rectifier, you have to change the batteries, so many things. So I think if anybody from the vendor side, I was with the Intel, and we have, I think, Warner from the Intel on the board. My only question was, reduce the power of this chipset which is coming, both on the device as well as the chipset which is going on the node base. Cloudification with simplification. Today, the big challenge for the operators, at least I can say, everybody talks about the cloud, and 5G is going to be cloud native. The expertise is very low in the operators, and even I find expertise in the vendors also not that much. So everybody is learning on the job. So we have to actually ensure that to make the 5G successful and reduce the cost, we have to simplify the cloud, and anything which can be simplified will be popular, will be used, and everybody will like it. So I think the big challenge for the operator and vendor ecosystem that we need to ensure this cloudification is actually being offered to support 5G with the lot of simplification where this can be maintained, operated by the normal engineers with the minimum trainings. So today, this is a big challenge for all of us as an industry. Network slicing, already I talked. So this provides the slicing of the spectrum, which we as an operator, we can actually offer to any enterprise customers. So maybe only some big companies can afford to have their, experts on the 4G, experts on the cloud, experts on maintaining core, experts on operating network. I think maybe it's not worth for the enterprise who are a little smaller in the scale, but they still need the advantage to be used for their factories, their business, their, offices by using 5G. Then we, operator, we provide all the infrastructure, spectrum, and we operate, maintain, and give the service to the enterprises. So I think this is the area where the network slicing is going to be handy to give the customized service for the given enterprise. IP optical integration, I think, if the people are not technical, then for some normal, people, it is very expensive to backhaul the tower traffic carrying to the data center on IP. So putting the routers everywhere and using those routers and everywhere using the router ports, most expensive one. How to make the backhaul cheaper? We need to ensure that optical is cheaper. So taking the optical signal through the fiber is cheaper than putting the router and then putting the optical. So integrate the routing and the optical to make it actually cost effective for the operators. Otherwise, it's very expensive. Already 5G is expensive in terms of the radio unit and everything. It needs a lot of backhaul because the throughput on the tower is very high. We are giving to all the users as high throughput. We are talking about, like Gbps kind of throughput, 100, 200 Mbps or the 50 Mbps for the consumer, 20 Mbps for consumer, per consumer, and then you can think of how much traffic need to go from the tower to the data center. So to ensure that this traffic is actually in the most cost-effective manner is taken, that is the way IP and optical integration to be done. So I think some discussions maybe around this. Security guideline, as I said, that we need to ensure, be prepared, the DOT guideline, whatever they are coming. So I think the idea I wanted to give that, in this keynote, that we need to work, there's a lot of work to be done as an industry, and this industry has to work as all the partners together. It is not the job of only operators, only the telecom equipment providers. I think there's a lot of role to be played by the startups, by the software companies, IT companies, and the companies who are actually understand the enterprise and the consumer mindset very well. So if they come all together, then we will have a lot of use cases coming out. If not one killer app, there could be a multiple application which is as good as any killer app. So I think to monetize 5G, this is the first time this industry is seeing the collaboration of everyone coming together and trying to make it, this platform to be exploited and make it work for the enterprise and consumers, where everyone, whole community get the, benefit, and the operators are able to monetize, and we are able to make this technology actually the powerful and the successful technology. So with this, thank you very much, and thanks to the